everybody, it's Pam with Silver and Sparkles, and I have been sitting at my craft desk playing with this new paper kit, Sweet Sparkles, right? That's what I named it. Yes. And I did a small mini journal with it, and introduced it to you guys. And so I have been working on a tall, skinny journal and thought that I would walk you guys through the process, do a little bit. I'm going to make a second one because, you know, I need to, right? And then show you some of the elements that hopefully will get you guys thinking about how you might be able to use if you have these papers or other papers. So I realized I always say, you know, you can use any papers you like, which you absolutely can. I think I'm going to start saying, if I remember, you can use any papers that make you happy. And these papers really make me happy. So I decided I wanted to use some of my single-sided scrapbook paper that I've just had in my stash forever. So this is from one of those pads from Michael's that I sometimes get when they're on special, and they are a nice weight. I actually like this pattern. Some of the patterns I'm not as jazzed about, right? So this is a great project because of all the layering that I did. Maybe for one that isn't your most favorite, because I certainly could have also layered on the back. And so anyway, that's what we're going to do. So if you want to make one this size, I'm starting with just a piece of scrapbook cardstock that measures 8 3/4 by 8 1/2. Now I want my journal to be 8 3/4 inches tall, and it's really easy to, because it's almost square, to crease it on the wrong side. So pay attention to what you're doing. This is the 8 3/4 inch side. So I'm just going to fold it in half. You could score yours if you want to, but I'm just folding mine. And this leaves us with a tall, skinny journal that measures 8 3/4 by 4 1/4. And I liked this size just for how the papers print when you cut off the border. And I don't know, I like the size. You could go skinnier, right? You could go taller. There's lots of things you could do. Shorter and still be kind of tall and skinny. Now the papers, I just printed on the back some just neutrals that I happen to have. And I am putting in each of these, oh, I got to be careful again. See, I almost folded that the wrong way. These pages are 8 1/2 by 8, and I want them to be 8 1/2 inches tall and 4 inches wide. So you need to make sure you are folding on the 8-inch side, or you can score it on the 8-inch side at 4 inches, okay? So again, the papers for this project are almost square. So you just have to be careful and make sure you're folding on the correct size. And I was honestly not really planning to sew the second one together. I just wanted to show you, you know, what I did for the pages, because what I want to work on is the cover and this element. It has a pocket where you could put nice writing paper, a journaling spot, and a journaling spot. I just wanted to show you how, I mean, it's not hard, but I wanted to show you how I made that element. I like how it fits in there. And then I'm really envisioning this journal to be more of a journal that gets written in. So I may add a few more flips and pockets, but I really like the simplicity. You know, I may want some tabs, some more ephemera, and we may, you know, I may do something on this back cover, but I don't know, I really am enjoying it, and I think this would be a really good one, maybe for some devotions, some gratitudes, with just some beautiful pages and colors, but still, you know, still a few tuck spots for a few little things. So that's kind of where my mind's been going today. Sometimes I do a whole lot. And then sometimes I'm like, you know, I want a journal that I'm going to write in. And I love having pretty papers mixed in. Now these soft-sided journals like this, it's just going to be, you know, a signature, a single signature, you know, with the cover. You can mix in other paper. It doesn't have to be, you know, just paper from a digital kit. You could certainly do some, you know, ledger paper, lined paper. You could do book page, all kinds of things. Now, I did alternate where I had like yellow and then sort of the coral and then the coral and the aqua. So it, you don't have like all the yellow and then all the, you know, all the blue tones and the pink tones, so that they're just kind of there together. So anyway, that's going to be my signature. And I have so many videos of how you just sew in a signature, a 3-hole pamphlet, and it's just going to get sewn in there. So I'm just going to set these aside, and I really want to work on this cover and show you some of the things that I did. So I cut some, again, cardstock that's been in my stash forever, which is 8.5 by 11. So it is 8.5, and on that 11-inch side, I cut a few 4-inch strips. And even though this is different color palette than my digitals, I kind of like how it still allowed them to be bright and everything, but I felt it coordinated well enough. So for the front cover, I just glued a piece of this down. It's nice and thick, and it's going to give my journal cover a lovely weight to it. So that was part of the reason for that. And if you didn't want to do this layer, by the time we cut some of the papers from the kit, they end up being 8 inches tall. I had envisioned this kit being used not as a tall and skinny, right? But as a more standard here, like this size page and journal. If the other piece I've already chopped it off because I'm going to use that for my cover. Yay. But yeah, so if you don't want to do this layer and you just want to maybe pick a paper to layer on a piece of scrapbook paper like this, just make it shorter. Instead of making it 8 3/4, make it 8.5. Okay, tall. So again, options. There's always options, but I really liked having this layered look. And on the first one I did, I used the paper, this sheet, and cut it. And then I decided to add one of my frames. This is a different paper kit. And then some of the Fussies from that freebie that I have on Buy Me a Coffee. And I like how it turned out. This one, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I don't think any of my frames are really going to work for this size image. But I may leave it simple. I may just add ribbon. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But I just liked the peachy, corally colors with this green. I just think it's going to be a pretty journal cover, and it can be simple. And depending on what you choose, yours can look so different. You know, whatever papers are making you happy. If you picked one of the collage sheets for the cover, that would be pretty, right? This one's chopped, but see? So for whatever reason, I kind of went toward these that are a little more plain. I did cut this one to be 3 3/4 by 8 so that it nestles in here. And again, make yours depending on the size of your papers and the images on your papers and what you want to highlight. I do think using some of the collage papers for the cover, which I do often would be really pretty. Okay, that's good enough. All right, fun. All right, I'm not going to worry yet about layering. All I did on my original is just put a piece of this cardstock back here, and I left this plain. I haven't decided what I'm going to do for this one, but let's just make that flip out element because it was so easy. So this is the inside front cover, and again, I'm going to use a piece of cardstock that is 4 inches by 8.5, and then I'm going to choose, I have papers. These were some offcuts from the little mini journal I made the other day. I thought I had one in a different color. I do. Okay, so when I cut I can't remember, I think they were 3.5 by 5.5 pieces for that journal. I ended up with some pieces that measure 4 3/4 by almost 8. And I thought, well, what can I do with these? I think because this cover has that coral, do I want the contrast with the yellow when I open up? Or you know what? I'm gonna stay with this palette for right now. I've got the yellow on this side, so there you go. All right, so I thought I want to use these, you know, I really want to use these for something. And I thought it's going to be fun. Let me go ahead and ink it. It's going to be fun to turn this into a flip page and give my cover even more layers to help it be nice and sturdy. All right, so I want this to be a pocket. Let me just remind you guys real quick. I actually stuck a piece of ephemera in there. So I left, I don't know what that is, maybe 1/2 inch. And I did put one of the little, this is from the Freebie little tag there. Okay, so all I did was I just kind of lined it up on the page so I could see where I needed to fold it and crease it at. See, easy projects. If you're using a piece of paper you have in your scrap bin, pick whatever size works. And look at that. All right, this is going to become that pocket, and this is going to become the flip. Now, I did miter the corner just a little bit. I ended up layering over it, but I didn't have to then worry that it might peek out. You might see it. And if you don't want to layer over it, I think it'll give it a nice little look. All right, we are going to see the yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this. I love making little interactive pieces for my journals. And I hope you guys do too. All right, so this is going to end up right here like this. This is turning into a pocket on the front cover. I do want you guys to be able to see this crease line. There we go. I'll ink some more later. But you definitely, when you put this down, you want to make sure, and I kind of went a little to the left to give myself a little room from where that signature is going to be sewn in. So that's how I'm going to do mine. Okay. So let's set the cover aside for just a minute. Don't want to glue this yet because that's what's going to glue it to the cover. What we want to glue is this piece down as the pocket. So I'm holding it nice and secure, and I am going to add glue to the bottom. I am going to add glue right along here to really hold it in for me. Right along that crease, and we're going to fold it over. And we have a little bit of glue oozing, which is fine. So that has left this as a lovely tuck spot. Let's see how we're doing over here. And we're doing great over here. All right, so let's pick our cover back up. And it is going to, just a touch more ink, get glued right here. Just by the flap. So, glue all along the flap. And we're going to lay it down nice and easy. Okay. Yay. This will open up. Look at that. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay, now again, we'll have the signature sewn in. So I used on my original one a piece of book page. And here I'm going to show you what I used for this because I love how that turned out. See, there's my hinge. And then just a piece from one of the collage pages to make it look a little different. This is a sliver from that same page. So you can decorate them however you like. Now, in prepping, I went through some of my scraps, and I have just a whole ream of this. I don't even know if these are the right size. These were in my scrap bin, and I'm hoping I can make one of these work. I think I can. And anyway, it's just a piece of like copyweight paper that is this color. And I use it periodically in projects. I got it at a consignment shop. Okay, so instead of using book page, I'm just going to use that on this one. And then this side was one of my brown bags. Look at that. Now, I didn't leave it open as a pocket because of how I did the top, and I guess I could have. But I think I love writing on these, and I love the texture of it. So that's all that is. And I thought the colors were nice. So I'm going to do that again. I did trim it off at the top. And then I also trimmed it to make it the correct width. I can't remember what that is now. 4 1/4. I want it to be, I don't know, 3 3/4 maybe. There we go. All right, so that's all that is. These are just those flat bags. I get them on Amazon. I've made lots of bag projects. So if you want to figure out a way to make this into a pocket, go for it. I'm just going to use it for journaling paper idea. So I'm going to glue both of these down. Glue that together real quick so it doesn't flap up on me. Yeah, so just use what you have. And because this is thin, I'm not going to take it apart and only use one layer. I'm going to use both so that the glue, of course, is on the back layer and that front layer is nice and smooth. All right, I'm going to add some glue here. Again, ledger paper, lined paper, whatever you like to write on. You could not do journaling. I mean, this journal, because of how I did the papers, it's going to have lots and lots of writing room. Again, I really kind of see this one as a, I don't know, like a prayer journal or a gratitude journal, something like that is what I have in my mind. There we go. Now, let me see what I have in all of these pieces that might work well to top this. So maybe we will stay with the yellow. And again, all I did with that other one is I just kind of found a place on the paper that I liked and I tore it. And I kind of liked that. And now I'm going to trim this also to 3 3/4 wide, like this. So that's going to top the bag. And this piece look at that. It'll coordinate, and I'm just going to tear it and put it at the top here. Just for a little decoration. All right, so if you are new to this type of making journals and you're disappointed that I haven't sewn the signature in, I really encourage, I have playlists on my channel, and you can search my channel and put in, you know, like 3-hole pamphlet stitch or any of the ones where I'm actually making journals, most of them. And it is, I promise, it's the exact same process, okay? And if you're having trouble finding a good video to show you that, pop me a message and I will link one for you, okay? All right. Here we go. And then I am going to keep playing with both of these so that I will have 2 tall and skinny journals that will end up, because the papers are different, right, being quite different in different elements. Here's where I sewed it in, and I put little hearts on the strings, made kind of what I consider like an organic style pocket. This is just a lovely flip, maybe a pocket, or again, just private writing space perhaps, right? Turned this side into a pocket. Just so many things we can do. I love making journals of all sizes. I tend to do a lot of those one-page wonders and mini journals and quick and easy projects, but definitely having a big journal to work in is delightful. Ooh, let's add one of these. There's that flower there. Let's see, this one's a little bit smaller. I was just thinking it might be fun, kind of like I did the label on that one. I was fussy cutting. I like to fussy cut. And because there's so many little pieces on this one, I'm not going to have it hang over. I'm just going to add a little extra blue. So the freebie is on Buy Me a Coffee. It looks like this. It's 1 page of a mix of fussy cuts. I'll link that for you down below in the description, and I'll also link this paper kit in case it's something you're interested in. And I hope you liked these ideas, okay? Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.